Matthew 13:25. Inde to kathudein tous anthropous, eilthen autu ha ekthros, kai epesperin zizania, anamesan tu situ, kai ap eilthen. Jesus continues telling this parable. We know that the kingdom of God, he says, is like a man who sows good seed in a field. And then he continues, and then we have this into plus the infinitive, which is a while clause. We expect it to be translated something like as or while. And we know that the subject of the infinitive is going to be in the accusative case. So if we did this super literal up here, it would be, but in thee to sleep the people. But we have to render it as a normal English clause, so the accusative noun here becomes the subject of the verb, while people were sleeping. So while people were sleeping, you'll notice that some English translations will say while his men, so they're taking this as a reference to workers of the landowner or something like that, and others will just say people. So I'm going to go with people here. So while people were sleeping, his enemy came, that's the second aorist of erchomai, and sowed on top, in other words, sowed on top of the crop that was already there, weeds in the midst of the wheat, and he went away. That is, the enemy, the ekthros, went away. Let's glance at this word epesperin. You know the word spero is to sow, and then we have this epe on front. Epispero is to sow on top of, which is what this guy did. He sowed another seed on top of the wheat that had already been sowed. You can see that there is an augment right here. Remember, the augment comes after the prepositional prefix, knocking out that last letter sometimes. This is a liquid verb, so if there were a sigma, it would have been rejected, and the stem vowel is already long, so this form actually is somewhat ambiguous. It could be imperfect or aorist, but in the midst of a story like this, we would expect it to be aorist, so I'm going to parse it as aorist active indicative, third person singular. So he sowed, that is, the enemy sowed, zizania. This is, if you look this up in a lexicon, it will tell you this is not just any weed, but this is a particular kind of weed that it's a troublesome grass that looks a lot like wheat as it starts to come up.